Welcome back to the English Nook. I'm Maya, and today we are tackling the absolute biggest barrier holding you back from real fluency. If you are still translating every single sentence in your head before you speak,
Which, let's be honest, almost everyone listening right now is doing.
excuse me, Ethan, I was introducing the show. But yes, he's unfortunately right. If you hear an English sentence, translate it to your native language, think of an answer, and then translate it back to English, you are killing your conversational pace. It is completely counterproductive.
Wait, hold on. Counterproductive. Let's break that down for our B2 listeners right now, because you love using big words early, Maya. Counterproductive basically means it has the opposite result of what you actually want, right? Like, you're trying to speak faster, but this mental habit makes you slower.
Yes, Ethan, thank you for the dictionary definition. I'm glad you could keep up. But seriously, mental translation creates a massive bottleneck in your brain. You aren't actually participating in a conversation. You are running a slow, exhausting internal translation bureau.
Exactly. And the worst part is, it completely drains your energy. After just 20 minutes of speaking English at a party or a business meeting, your brain feels absolutely fried. You aren't actually bad at English. Your system is just overloaded because you're running two languages at the exact same time.
Oh, fried. That's a perfect colloquial B2 adjective. When you say your brain is fried, it means you are completely exhausted and can't think clearly anymore, right?
Exactly. Like my brain after listening to you talk without taking a breath.
Wow! Okay, shots fired. But look who's talking. You're the one who keeps interrupting my intro. Anyway, today we are going to show you exactly how to break this exhausting cycle. We're moving past generic advice like just think in English and giving you actionable daily mental drills.
Yeah, because just think in English is the most useless advice ever. It's like telling someone who can't swim to just stay on top of the water. We're going to break down real techniques, like building a vocabulary baseline and using conditional associations.
And as always, we will finish up with a highly refined word tour at the very end to lock in our 5 core expressions from today's debate.
So, if you want to support our chaotic dynamic and never miss a lesson, hit that like button and subscribe.
All right, Ethan, let's dive into the absolute root cause of this mental translation trap.
Okay, let's look at why this happens in the first place, because it's not actually your fault. The root cause of this entire translation nightmare goes back to traditional schooling. Most language classes teach you English through a method called grammar translation. They indoctrinate you to think.
Whoa, indoctrinate. Calm down, Professor. That's a pretty intense C1/C2 word for a B2 episode, don't you think? You mean they train or force people to accept a specific belief without questioning it, right?
Hey, it fits perfectly here. Yes, they train you to believe that every English word has an exact, identical twin in your native language. So your brain learns to couple them together like a railway train. You learn that apple equals manzana or palm, instead of just connecting the English word apple directly to the image of a round, red fruit.
Oh, I completely agree with you on that point, actually. It creates this invisible middleman in your mind. Every time you want to say something, your brain has to travel back to your native language country, get permission, and then travel back to English. It's a total waste of cognitive bandwidth.
Wait, since you called me out on indoctrinate, let's clarify cognitive for everyone listening. Cognitive just relates to the mental processes of perception, memory, and thinking, correct?
Look at you, learning how to explain vocabulary naturally. Yes, cognitive bandwidth means your brain's processing power. And traditional methods completely exhaust that power by forcing you to memorize endless bilingual vocabulary lists.
Exactly. Bilingual lists are the absolute worst. They reinforce the translation habit every single day. If you memorize a list that says attempt equals tratar, you are actively training your brain to stall during a real conversation because you've created a dependency.
A dependency. Right. You become a translation addict. You literally can't speak a syllable without your native language holding your hand. So when a native speaker asks you a quick, casual question at a coffee shop, you freeze up like a computer running too many heavy programs at once.
Exactly. You give them a blank stare for 5 seconds while your internal hard drive spins like crazy.
Which is incredibly awkward for everyone involved, Ethan. Let's move on to the next section and actually show them how to smash that internal hard drive and start building direct connections.
All right, let's talk solutions because I am sick of talking about how bad schools are. The first step to breaking the translation addiction is what I call the labeling exercise. It is simple, it is fast, and you can start doing it the second this episode ends. You look around your room and you mentally name,
Oh, come on, Ethan. Naming objects? That sounds like a beginner vocabulary drill for an A1 class. Tell me you have something better than this is a chair, that is a window.
let me finish, Maya. No, it's not an A1 drill because the trick isn't just saying the word, it's bypassing the translation step entirely. When you look at your phone, you don't look at it, think of your native language word, and then say phone. You look at the glass screen and force the English sound phone to trigger immediately. You are bypassing the middleman.
Wait, bypassing. Let's pause and capture that be-to verb for a second. Bypassing means avoiding a path, going around a blocker, or skipping a step to get to the destination faster, right?
Exactly. You are cutting out the translation step completely. You look at a mug, a keyboard, a door, and you force your brain to connect the visual image directly to the English sound. No intermediate language allowed. If you do this for just 2 minutes a day, you start building a direct neurological highway.
Okay, fair point. I'll give you credit for that one. It actually makes sense. But let's scale it up for our B2 learners. Because they need to build full sentences, not just isolate individual nouns. To take Ethan's drill to the next level, you need to start labeling your actions using spontaneous internal monologues.
Spontaneous internal monologues. Wow, who's using the textbook terminology now? You just mean talking to yourself in your head without planning it out first, right?
Yes, Ethan, exactly. Thank you for translating my elevated vocabulary into plain English. While you are making coffee in the morning, instead of thinking in your native language, you say to yourself, okay, I'm pouring the water. Now I'm grabbing a mug. Oh, I'm running low on milk. It forces you to use English as an active tool for your current reality.
And that is huge because it builds muscle memory for high-frequency daily structures. You stop treating English like a distant academic subject and start treating it like a background operating system for your life.
Exactly. It bridges the gap between studying and living the language. Let's head straight into the next section and look at how to handle abstract concepts, where you can't just rely on pointing at physical objects around your bedroom.
Right, so we conquered physical objects, but things get messy when we talk about abstract ideas, emotions, or complex opinions. This is where most intermediate learners panic and slide right back into their old translation habits because they don't know the exact perfect English word for a specific feeling.
Oh, they absolutely do. They stop dead in their tracks. Their eyes roll up to the ceiling, and they start scanning their internal dictionary. But the secret here is a technique called circumlocution. It sounds fancy, but it just means,
Wait, let me guess. It means talking in circles because you forgot the specific word you wanted to use?
well, aren't you a genius today? Yes, it means using other words to describe a concept when you can't remember the exact term. For example, if you forget the word colleague, instead of freezing up to translate it, you just say, the person I work with at my office. The conversation keeps moving, and you don't break your conversational flow.
Exactly. Conversational flow. Let's pinpoint that for our B2 listeners. Flow is that smooth, uninterrupted movement in speech where sentences connect effortlessly. And circumlocution protects that flow because it keeps your mouth moving in English rather than shutting down your brain to run a translation search.
Precisely. It keeps you in the English zone. If you pause to translate, you are literally training your brain that it's okay to give up and run back to your native language whenever things get a little bit difficult. You have to force yourself to survive using only the vocabulary you already possess.
Yes, it's like survival English, but at an upper intermediate level. You have to learn to be comfortable with paraphrase. If you can't think of the word exhausted, just say really, really tired. It is infinitely better to use a simpler English phrase instantly than to deliver a perfect, sophisticated word after a painful 10-second silence.
Oh, absolutely. Nobody wants to wait 10 seconds for you to find a fancy adjective, Ethan. We want to keep the banter alive.
Hey, I keep up just fine. But you're right. Speed beats perfection every single time in real-world conversations.
It truly does. So, let's stop overanalyzing our mistakes, leave the internal dictionaries behind, and cruise right over to the word tour to lock in our 5 essential B2 expressions for today. And welcome to the final arena of today's debate, the word tour. Today we figured out how to permanently dump the internal dictionary. Let's review our 5 core B2 terms so you can integrate them into your speech immediately.
And let's see if Maya can define them without looking at her notes. Let's go.
Oh, I can do this in my sleep, Ethan. Word number 1 is the adjective, counterproductive.
This describes an action that brings about the exact opposite result of what you actually intended to achieve.
For example, pausing to check a dictionary app's mid-sentence is completely counterproductive to building fluency.
Word number 2 is the slang adjective, fried.
Completely exhausted, burnt out, or unable to think clearly because your brain has been working too hard.
For example, after that grueling 3-hour English listening exam, my brain was totally fried.
Word number 3 is the verb bypassing.
Avoiding a roadblock, skipping an unnecessary step, or taking a shortcut to reach your destination much faster.
For example, by connecting English words directly to images, you are bypassing the mental translation trap.
Word number 4 is the noun circumlocution.
The clever strategy of using alternative words or phrases to describe a concept when you cannot remember the exact term.
For example, instead of freezing up when he forgot the word ceiling, his quick circumlocution kept the conversation alive.
And finally, item number 5 is the noun phrase conversational flow.
The smooth, natural, and uninterrupted movement of speech, where thoughts and sentences connect effortlessly.
For example, prioritizing speed over perfect grammar will drastically improve your conversational flow.
Flawless delivery, Maya. Now, before our listeners close this player, it is time for our weekly comment segment challenge.
Yes, we want to test your active processing power today. Do not translate an answer from your native language. Pick just one word from today's list, like fried, bypassing, or counterproductive, and drop a spontaneous, fast sentence about your life in the comments below.
Exactly. No overthinking allowed. Just type the first natural thought that pops into your head. Maya and I will be waiting down there to join the banter and correct any minor slips.
And if our chaotic bickering brought a bit of fun to your English routine today, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps the Nook running.
Thank you for your energy, your brilliant focus, and for letting us interrupt your day in the best way possible.
Stop translating. Trust your ears. And we will see you very soon at the Nook for another high-octane English adventure.
Keep the flow moving, everyone. Bye-bye.